Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you've been following the AI space this month, you know there is an absolute mountain of noise out there. But today, we are cutting right through that hype to uncover the actual, foundational story playing out in the tech sector for May 2026. What we're really seeing right now is a massive structural transition. AI is rapidly evolving from being just this cool experimental feature into load-bearing, heavily regulated infrastructure. This month is literally the definitive tipping point where the underlying architecture of the internet and enterprise software as a whole is fundamentally rewiring itself. It's a massive shift in how we even conceptualize software, and we're going to break down exactly what that means for you.
Okay, let's dive right into this core thesis. Load-bearing. That is the magic word here. Think about what that actually means in a real-world engineering context. When a beam becomes load-bearing, you don't just bolt it on at the end to make the house look flashy, right? You build your entire structure on top of it. It becomes the foundational routing logic of your application. If the AI goes down now, your product doesn't just lose a neat little chatbot widget, the entire product breaks. The architectural shifts happening right now, literally this very month, are absolutely going to constrain your development choices 6 months down the line. So, if you're building software, investing in tech, or leading an IT team, understanding the specific transition from feature to foundation, it's no longer optional.
To map out this paradigm shift, we'll hit 5 key areas: White House model reviews, Anthropic's Mythos and security, Google consolidating Gemini, agents becoming the interface, and finally, building for regulated AI. Let's get into it. Starting with Section 1, White House model reviews, the regulatory squeeze. Let's look at how global policy is totally reshaping the reality for developers. Impartially looking at the primary reporting from Forbes back on May 4th, we see a very clear, high-level move toward the pre-release review of frontier models. The reporting notes that the Trump administration is considering requiring government review of new models before they can be released to the public. Now, what's absolutely crucial to understand here is the framing. This push is being driven heavily by national security, not just traditional consumer safety. We're talking about preventing adversarial nations or non-state actors from accessing foundational models that could, say, write sophisticated malware, discover zero-day exploits, or synthesize dangerous compounds. Treating frontier AI models more like dual-use military technology means the oversight is going to be incredibly rigorous. And while this is currently just at the proposal stage, the direction the regulatory wind is blowing is unmistakable.
So what's the so what for you? Well, it's profound. If pre-release review becomes the standard operating procedure, the ripple effects are going to hit every single level of the tech stack. Yes, your upstream providers, the OpenAIs, Anthropics, and Googles of the world, they'll absorb the primary compliance red tape. But as a direct result of that bureaucratic friction, the deployment timelines for those new foundation models are going to extend significantly. Everything slows down. Compliance costs will shoot up to cover the necessary legal and auditing teams. And crucially, the capability gap between those massive, well-resourced labs that can afford armies of lawyers and smaller open-source teams or startups, that gap is going to widen. The barrier to entry for training frontier models is getting infinitely higher, which means your own release schedules for new product capabilities that rely on those upstream updates will probably slip.
Moving right along to Section 2, Anthropic's Mythos and security. Here is where AI capability expansion violently collides with legacy infrastructure.
You've probably seen this rumor floating around the developer forums lately. Secondary reporting has been claiming that a new Anthropic model, supposedly internally called Mythos, is actively uncovering decades-old bugs in legacy financial systems. I mean, we're talking about massive, monolithic architectures and COBOL mainframes built back in the 1980s that power global banks, systems so old and complex that human engineers barely even understand the underlying transaction logic anymore. The rumor suggests this new model is finding vulnerabilities that traditional security tooling completely missed. But we need to act as an analytical filter here. Anthropic has not officially published any documentation under the Mythos name, and these specific claims remain entirely unverified.
We have to aggressively separate the unverified claims from the confirmed structural reality. Even if we treat the specific Mythos model and its production audits as just an unconfirmed rumor, the underlying technological capability is very, very real. AI-assisted code analysis and security auditing is a massive, rapidly expanding capability today. Both nation-state attackers and enterprise defenders are currently utilizing advanced language models to scan millions of lines of code at machine speed. So, if you're building in fintech, healthcare, or any critical infrastructure, it frankly doesn't matter if the Mythos name is real or not. What matters is that your threat model must immediately account for AI-powered vulnerability discovery. The days of relying on security through obscurity or just the sheer complexity
complexity of a legacy codebase are officially over.
That brings us perfectly to Section 3, Google consolidating Gemini. Let's look at the ruthless corporate cuts happening right now.
According to recent tech reporting, Google shut down a highly anticipated internal AI agent project known as Mariner, right ahead of Google I/O. Mariner was supposedly designed as this standalone, autonomous agent capable of navigating the web and completing complex tasks on behalf of users. But the key takeaway here isn't about a technical failure. Google killed Mariner to ruthlessly consolidate all their engineering talent and computing power into the unified Gemini ecosystem and their new Search AI mode. Fragmentation is the absolute enemy of building infrastructure. They just aren't interested in maintaining fractured, parallel agent experiments when the core platform itself needs to become the universal standard.
You see, for Google, AI-powered search isn't just a fun new feature to keep users engaged, it is a purely existential product concern. The vast majority of their focus is split right down the middle, fortifying the Gemini ecosystem and perfecting AI mode in search. Everything else, including promising side projects, is secondary. And if Google is shifting their entire corporate weight toward providing AI-generated zero-click answers directly on the search results page, the implications for the broader web are staggering. Traditional organic traffic patterns are fundamentally breaking down. We are moving rapidly toward what we can confidently call AI answer optimization. If your business relies on traditional SEO to bring users to your site to read an article or buy a product, your strategy needs to adapt to this new reality right now. You have to figure out how to ensure your data is the primary source material that the AI models actually cite in their answers.
This corporate consolidation directly feeds into Section 4. Agents become the interface. This is the new default user experience. The absolute most important distinction in software today is the shift from feature to infrastructure. Previously, AI was an optional fun bolt-on. A user might click a "Summarize this text" button, and the AI would help them out. Now, in the paradigm shift solidified in May 2026, AI is the foundation. Building on top of it is the standard. Working around it is the exception. When an AI agent becomes the primary interface, the human user talks directly to the agent, and the agent is the one navigating the complex back-end systems, triggering APIs, and completing those multi-step workflows. It fundamentally changes how software must be architected from the ground up. You're no longer just designing graphical user interfaces for human eyes and human fingers. You now have to design predictable, machine-readable API surfaces that are optimized for autonomous agents to interact with. Finally, let's hit Section 5, Building for Regulated AI. We're going to pull some actionable strategies from the recent MIT Big AI conference.
Enterprise adoption is accelerating, which means developers have to balance rapid innovation with a really heavy regulatory reality. Retrofitting compliance onto an opaque, black box system later? Yeah, that is incredibly, sometimes ruinously expensive. If you are targeting regulated industries, you must build 3 load-bearing pillars from day one. First, log every single AI-driven decision. And I don't just mean inputs and outputs, I mean the intermediate reasoning steps the model took. Second, maintain strict system explainability. This usually means using retrieval-augmented generation architectures where every assertion the AI makes can be traced back to a specific, approved internal document. And third, document complete data provenance. Auditors are going to demand to know exactly what proprietary data was used to fine-tune your specific model instance. These rigorous engineering practices aren't just best practices anymore, they're table stakes.
So, to stay ahead of this shift, ignore the daily clickbait. Focus your attention on these concrete signals developing over the next month. Watch closely to see if that White House proposal regarding national security and pre-release reviews transitions into actual, formal rulemaking. Scrutinize the technical docs coming out of Google I/O for details on Gemini's API integrations. Look for official documentation from Anthropic regarding their security auditing capabilities to finally separate the rumor from the product reality. And perhaps most importantly for digital businesses, closely monitor your own server logs. You need to measure the real-world impact of Google's Search AI mode intercepting your organic user base.
I want to leave you with this final provocative thought to consider. If an AI agent, acting as the new foundational infrastructure of the web, can handle your product's entire core task simply as a minor side effect of a broader user workflow, what exactly is your product strategy now? That is the defining question for businesses entering this new era of AI infrastructure. Thanks so much for joining this explainer, and we will catch you next time.